All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Athens in Motion Commission. We exist to implement the bike and pedestrian master plan, among other things we'll talk about. Sharing my screen. So for today's agenda, and I'm going to try and make this a little bit easier to read. We'll have a welcome. I'll go ahead and do roll call real quick, and then we'll talk about how the rest of the meeting is going to go. So I'm here. Art.
I'm here.
Teresa. Here. Randy. Alan. Ed.
Yep.
Julie. Here. Craig.
Here.
Blaine.
Here.
Have a quorum. So we will look at the agenda. You all will approve that. We'll look at the minutes. And then we have a couple of items here that we normally don't. That's commissioner introductions, and I prepared a little presentation for you all. And then we will have some of our major items. There's two today, one of which is approving a letter of support, and I'll talk more about that. And I guess Sherelle's not here. I was hoping that she would get a chance to talk about that, but Daniel, I'm sure you can step in. Or is she online? No. Some fall tabling events coming up that we would love to be part of. And then we go into the regular staff updates. So we'll hear from Todd Miller, who's online planning. Daniel will get through as much as he can in a brief period of time. And then we'll go into our brief report backs and formations for the committees. And I'll talk a little bit more about committees in my presentation, but this is kind of like the big bucket for quick updates in the future. If you're in a committee and you have something that you want to bring forth to the whole commission, you would let me know and we would put that under our major items. And that's how that will go. And so this is a 2-hour meeting. It's usually pretty jam-packed, but we should adjourn at 6, even though we started a little bit today. I think I can get through my stuff a little bit faster. So with that, unless there was any public comment, Daniel.
I did not receive any public comment. And I believe we have it set up now so that I'll follow up, make sure, but it will go to the headless email. So all public comments will go straight to all of us. Because it'll go to AthensInMotion@accgov.com instead of my email.
Okay. If that's the case.
We'll still do the public comment thing. But.
Yes. Don't respond to those.
Yes.
But I'm glad that you'll get to see them. We'll talk about how we'll respond. Yeah, so any additions or modifications to the agenda for today? All right, I will entertain a motion. Yes?
We might discuss E23 parking lot for a little bit. That's the PGA parking ride.
For Coney.
There's a greenway and a campus parking lot.
Okay, where would y'all like to put that under?
Put under my.
Honestly, if you want to hold up, I can talk about it in my committee report.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah.
PGA report, because there's other stuff that could coincide with that.
Nice.
We don't have to mind.
Follow-up question. What was the section you wanted Sherelle for?
On the letter.
Gotcha.
The reconnecting communities and neighborhood letter, if she wanted to talk about that, because there's going to be folks who are not familiar with what's going on there. So I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Next is the exhilarating part of the meeting where we approve our minutes. They're great minutes. Thank you, Blaine.
Blaine, your minutes are beautiful. There is only one minor gotcha. The bottom of the minutes for June indicate that the next meeting will be in September, and we're here in August.
I'm moving too fast. It all came out from you watching the video of the last meeting.
Short of that, they're beautiful.
Any additions, corrections to And do you know who, we don't know who motioned or seconded the 2K? Or, and this was that thing where we didn't go to the conference.
Yeah, we could leave that, I guess, or maybe just correct it to say that, tickets were sold out.
Okay.
Registration was sold out, so it didn't really matter.
Any other comments, corrections? That I will entertain a motion to approve our minutes from June.
I'll move it again.
Okay, Greg, second. Second. Thank you, Teresa. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay, and we're gonna come back to the main minutes, next meeting. So, I'd like to do a brief, commissioner round. So if you all could, say who you are, the pronouns if you'd like, and, something you do outside of the Athens Emotion Commission. So that could be one of the numerous other committees you're on, or a day job, or if you're caring for somebody, you have a cool hobby that none of us would expect. I would love to just hear that, and, we'll start on over here, if you Blaine.
Hey, I'm Blaine Van Note. I've been on the commission a little over a year now, I think. I take the minutes, and appreciate the support. You're gonna keep me going for at least one more month on just that.
We value the secretary.
I am the UGA representative on the committee. I work for Transportation and Parking Services Department. I've been there 15 years, 15 glorious years. We're getting very excited right now with kids back on campus. Outside of the commission, I have 2 children, and they kind of occupy basically every other second that I have outside of the commission.
Yeah.
And my day job. So they're kind of at that age where they're both pretty active. So we spend a lot of time outside and playing, and that takes up pretty much everything we've got. I wish we had a little bit more for those kinds of things sometimes.
Teresa.
Oh, Betty, my turn. Teresa Friedlander, Vice Chair. And I've been on the commission since it was first put together. So that's been what, 4 years now, 3 years now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess 4 years.
And I love being on Athens in Motion. I think we're doing great work, and I keep my fingers in all the pies because I have too much free time on my hands. And when I'm not, doing Athens in Motion stuff or working in my yard, I'm being questioned.
That'll take some time too, won't
it? Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm Art Edison. I'm really happy to be on this commission. I really appreciate getting an invitation. My day job is professor at University of Georgia. My research lab is on Riverbend Road in the CCRC. And I've we've been in town since 2015, and I regularly complain to various people about infrastructure and how I never had a parking permit, sorry. And
Fine.
And at any job I've had. And so I just get around on my bike or walking. And so I've complained about lack of a sidewalk or something along Riverbend, which I see is maybe happening.
Yes.
And various intersections in town. So I'm happy to sort of put these complaints to more positive.
You complained and now you're being punished.
No.
You're on that commission. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Craig. I've been on the commission along with these two since the beginning. Gone through the fits and starts that we've had in terms of dealing with the pandemic and whatnot. I'm a chaplain at St. Mary's Health and a dad too. So in that camp, took up beekeeping because I needed more things to do. So I'm in my first year of attempting to go through the trials of beekeeping in Georgia, Georgia is not an easy place to keep bees. And I'm also a part of our Interfaith Clergy Alliance that we have here in town. So.
I'm Ed Mariello. I'm here representing the Oconee Rivers Greenway Commission, but happy to be part of this commission as well, very much so. Outside of working hours and everything, I'm active with the Oconee Rivers Audubon Society. I've been their field trip chair for about maybe 20 years now, and also active with the Georgia Ornithological Society. I am a retiree from the University System of Georgia, and now work back for the department I used to run as a part-time rehire.
Nice.
That's doing IT networking. The state has a big network called PeachNet that interconnects all the colleges, universities, and K-12 school systems. And that's the fun I get to work with.
My name's Julie Jager. I'm very excited to be here as well. Very new to this, but I was working for Transportation and Public Works recently, but transitioned into a job at UGA. So just wanted to stay as connected as possible. And as someone who also bikes around and walks around primarily, it feels very important to me to advocate for transportation equity. And I've been able to love seeing Athens change because of the work that y'all are doing. So very excited to be a part of it.
Welcome. Scott, ex officio, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Scott Long. I'm the executive director for Bike Athens. I've been involved with Bike Athens for over 7 years, and that takes up pretty much all my time.
Yeah.
I always appreciate coming to these because I know how important the work is here.
And I have a slide for staff, so maybe if you all want to prepare to just say who you are in a few minutes, Daniel and Ronnie, if you feel like it, and Todd, I will give you that opportunity. I'm Lauren. I've been on this commission since its inception with Teresa and Craig. I've been chair for a couple of years after Carol Myers was elected. In my day job, when I have one, I'm a web developer. I was at UGA for 11 years. I also never had a parking permit. Yes. I wish at the university level, they would have retire, rehire for younger people. I would love to, work less and spend much more time on these community activities. Because I enjoy them, and they are, as Scott said, it's really important stuff. Something you might not know about me is I also teach part-time at Canopy Studio doing aerial arts. It's a great community resource. I love it because anyone can come in and try trapeze or a metal hoop, and it's really fun. I get to teach, kids, teens, and adults, and it's just delightful. It's totally different than transportation and web development. So that's a lot of fun. Great. Well, thank you and welcome, and we'll help me remember when we have Alan and Randy in the room that we'll do them next time. Because I do want to have an introduction from them. So I'm going to share my screen again and provide you all with an introduction over the AIM Commission. And let me see, 20 minutes. I want to be done. I can be done in 15, 4:45. Oops. That's not where we were starting from. There we go. All right, we are, and you all are, the Athens in Motion Commission.
I was there just a few minutes ago, right there.
Yeah, so I've been using this shot a lot. This is actually, I need to update it because it doesn't have the updated zippers on it. Those are the zippers on Prince Avenue.
Or striping.
And I'm just going to do a quick overview and history, talk about who's who, what we do, committees, and some miscellaneous items today. These are who we are. We're missing Alan and Randy, and hopefully you all will meet them soon. So the Athens in Motion Commission, we're responsible for the development, implementation, and modification of the Athens in Motion plan for a safe and connected network of bicycle and pedestrian facilities throughout Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. And I say this up front because we are one of the newest commissions in Athens-Clarke County, and we're still establishing ourselves as a commission. And, you know, there's a lot of changeover every 2 years. We tend to get a couple of new elected officials. And so there's a lot of education and re-education that needs to happen here. So I always like to establish this pretty early on. And here is our official authority. Again, this is something that we kind of have to come back to from time to time. We do have the authority to seek funds to improve safety of connectivity for people biking and walking. We do have the authority to conduct educational safety encouragement programs, to coordinate active transportation efforts with the Greenway, Rails to Trail, Safe Routes to School, and I think that includes nonprofits like Bike Athens. And we also have the authority to recommend to our elected officials financial and other incentives to preserve, enhance, and further the purpose of the Athens in Motion Commission. So this is official stuff from our charter and bylaws. Great. This is the overview of the plan. In a nutshell, the plan is not to just put sidewalks and bike lanes everywhere. The idea is to have a strategic, coordinated effort in a way that makes sense. In the same way, like that any sort of transportation effort has been planned, like the Eisenhower interstate system, right? Those aren't just random roads. Those were chosen along highways that people were already using. And the idea was to get from one place to another place. And that is also true here in Clarke County with our bike and pedestrian infrastructure. I'm not going to go into the plan a whole lot today, but I do want to share our goals of connectivity, equity, more users, education, and implementation. And this is going to come up a lot as we revisit the plan. We do have a committee that is working on updating the plan, and I'll talk about that more in a moment, but would love to have anyone here be part of that effort because it's a year-long effort. I have some big ideas here. This is kind of what I share with the mayor and commission. This has not been approved by anyone in this room. But the way I see it is like, you know, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to do? Like sometimes this gets lost in the minutes and the meetings and the presentations, but we're just trying to give everyone safe, affordable, accessible transportation options. Alan, welcome.
Sorry, work got in the way.
Well, I'm going to have you give an introduction after I do this presentation, okay? But welcome, Alan Jones. The plan provides guidance for project prioritization, and it assures outside entities that we have done our homework. So this is one of the reasons why we're able to secure major federal grants like the $25 million RAISE grant for North Avenue is because when those folks are looking at our application, they can see that we have done our homework and that we know we can explain why this project is a priority. I would love it if the federal government just said, hey, you know, you want $50 million just to do whatever? We'd be like, yeah, sure, I will take it. But no, they want to see why we want the money. Let's include that there. And this is where I'm going to do some who's who. I remember when I started on this commission, I wasn't sure exactly who people were and what their roles were. And I felt bad about it. I'm like, I don't know, like who's the bike ped coordinator? What is Steven's role in all of this? And so I thought you guys might like to know. So we have Ronnie Katrib, who's the interim director, and I didn't check everyone's title, so I'm sorry if I got it wrong. And he is interim director while Steven is loss director. Yeah, and Ronnie, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. Well, thank you for the newly upcoming members to Athens in Motion. I just want to say welcome on board and thank you for your volunteering time and effort into this great committee that does a lot for our community today and will be essential for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. I'm Ronnie Katrib. I am the Assistant Public Works Director. I will serve as the Interim Director starting September. So that's pending until that date comes and confirmation is made. Stephen Bailey will be serving as the capital program director at the SPLOST office, reporting directly to Blaine, the manager, for a period of 3 months, maybe 4, maybe more. We'll see how that works. Direction will be received from the manager on that, and accordingly we will accommodate. But that's who I am. Again, thank you for your time and for signing up for this.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie.
I just want to make sure that it's that interim. We don't want Stephen to get any ideas. That was okay. And then we have Daniel is probably the person you will interact with most. He's our bike, pedestrian, and safety coordinator. So there's a lot wrapped up in that title, so please be nice to him. Daniel, you want to say a few words? Yeah, I'm Daniel. I am excited to continue working with a lot of you and work with new ones. Yeah, I like biking and plants and trying to figure out what else I like, but yeah, things have been kind of crazy in the last it feels like maybe the last 2 or 3 years since I've gotten in this position. Previously, I was in leisure services. I was the park planner over there. Did a lot of the master planning for parks as well as greenway network planning. I worked under Todd, who's on the call as well, Todd Miller. And yeah, learned a lot over there. Was there for about 6 years and then came over here. So my background's all over the place, starting with ceramics and sculpture back in the day when I was an undergrad, and somehow found my way into transportation planning. So next time we go get tea together, we can talk about it over tea.
Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate your energy and enthusiasm for this position. And then Sherelle, who's not with us today, she's our Vision Zero coordinator, but she has her hands in Athens in Motion as well. There's some other names here that I'm going to mention. Of course, Todd is on the call, but you might interact with or hear about Tim Griffith, who's in traffic engineering, or Alex Bond, who's over in Leisure Services Nature Division. And then every month we get an update from Todd, who is on the call. Todd, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm the park planning coordinator. So like Daniel said, me and him did a lot of the Greenway network design and layout, just help updates and that kind of stuff. I am a landscape architect and by schooling and everything, and have a arborist license. And also I got my first degree in computer programming and accounting with a double major. So I get into the nuts and bolts of the costing side of projects. So anyway.
Great. Thank you, Todd. And we'll hear an update from him later on. And then Alan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Everyone went around and said their name and something they do outside of this commission.
Gotcha. No, I will go back and watch all those. But I'm Alan Jones. Things about me, I ran for the mayor and commission last time around, did not win first place in my district, but I got second. And I spend a lot of time in the outdoors, so kayaking, biking. I just got an e-bike this fall and was riding it up until everything turned to this blazing inferno, and now I don't want to go outside for anything.
Yeah, so you biked today, and I did not.
It's really.
I'll get back into it once it's below 90 probably.
Scott, did you bike in? Okay. Nice, yeah.
And yeah, I'm also, like Teresa, worked with Timothy Ford for a number of years now, and our big issues have been just corridor transportation, getting getting people around by anything but cars. So that's been a big push for us, and it got me interested in all this stuff with wheels and feet, and it gets obsessive after a while. You see
Yes.
a need for it everywhere.
Yeah. And he was talking about how he figured out like that if he complains enough, like you end up on a commission. So that's what he's got here. Maybe I'll introduce everyone. Blaine, Lauren, Teresa, Art, Scott, Craig, Ed, and Julie. So welcome, Alan. Glad to have you. Alan's also on the T-Splosh 2023 Oversight Committee. And so I'm kind of threw you on the agenda to give a brief update. If, anything that, hasn't been covered already, it's really quick. It's just a word thing.
And we approve the agenda.
And I sent Teresa an email saying that I couldn't get access to the agenda yet. Or Lauren, did I say Teresa?
Yeah.
Did you send that today?
I sent that
It was Friday.
Friday, but I saw in my email today, this afternoon, I'll be sending it again before the meeting today. And it's like, oh, it's 4:05.
Sometimes my ACC Gov email works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's temperamental.
I haven't been able to get mine configured right. But anyway, so my part of the agenda. Yeah, we haven't had any.
But that will be later.
That will be later. Okay.
Yeah. So you have time to think about it. You have time to gather your thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah. That's at the end. So what do we do on the Athens in Motion Commission? I just wanted to give you kind of a preview of like what to expect kind of on a month-to-month basis. We review and recommend concepts. We haven't had any concepts for a while, but something like there was a concept a few years ago, Riverbend Road, Barber Street. We had several special called meetings on that project. And I'm not sure if we have anything coming up soon, but we will, I will talk with Daniel and staff about whether we use this meeting for that or whether we need to do a special called meeting because it tends to take a lot of time. And because it's a lot to wrap our head around. I remember Teresa did a great job of like digesting the Barber Street information and then like putting it out for us in a way that us non-technical, non-engineers can understand. So something else that we are doing today is we'll review a letter of support for grants. A lot of times these requests come to me and I do just send out a letter from the chair, but if there's time, if the deadline permits, I do like to have letters come from you all so we can sign as the whole commission. So please note that I will be striving to do that. We also do recommendations to the mayor and commission in forms of letters or presentations, policy writing and updating. You'll learn about some of those in a moment. Ordinance review, public engagement process review, and of course, updating the Athens in Motion plans. That's what we do kind of in these meetings and in our committees. Beyond those meetings, we do tabling at event, more on that. Walk audits with staff, so that's walking along the side of a road wearing a reflective vest and getting a true feel for a corridor. Teresa's been on some of those. I have been, I don't know if anyone else here has been. Alan, you probably have just by yourself, just figuring it out, yeah, on your own. We have presented potential projects for funding consideration. We educate and inform the public. We also show up at like the West Broad Roundabout community engagement meetings. I forget what the exact term for that is. And we attend and speak at mayor and commission meetings and other meetings like Federation of Neighborhoods, things like that. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. And some of us spend a lot of time writing minutes and agendas. So we have some committees, and at the end of every meeting, the committees give their updates unless there's something that needs more time, and we put under major items, as I said. So committees are where our work gets done. And here's Teresa, not in a committee meeting, actually, I think this is when you were abroad.
Amsterdam, sampling bike lanes, shared lanes.
Yeah, so this is what we kind of wish our work would look like, but in reality, in reality, we're in these meetings, having these discussions, taking these notes. Ideally, every Athens in Motion commissioner should be in at least one committee, and we kind of need you to commit to one. Sorry, that's a typo there. That's fine. So that way we know what our quorum needs to be for those. So I would say, like, you're welcome to figure out a committee you want to attend and try it out and then be like, oh, you know, actually I'm not into policy and projects. I would rather do grants and data. That's fine. It's just, this fall, I would like for everyone to settle on a committee or two, but you don't have to do 2 or 3 like Teresa. You don't have to do that, but you certainly can. And something I mentioned to some of the people I ran into who were trying to be on the Athens Motion Commission is you don't have to be on the commission to be in one of these committees. So if you know someone who likes to nerd out with you about transportation and they want to make a difference, but they're not complaining enough to end up on the commission, please recruit them for a committee. We'd love to have them. We're a small group. More hands would be better. The chair of each committee sets the agenda and the meeting time. And then one person who is not the chair ideally would volunteer to take minutes. And we need that person to send the previous meeting's approved minutes. So, you know, like we approved minutes today. So in those committee meetings, the person who's taking the minutes sends the previous meeting's approved minutes to Daniel. See, Daniel, I'm trying to make sure this happens. And then, and also sends the draft minutes out. So those are our committees. Policy and projects. Randy Halstead, who is the chair and couldn't make it today. So I'll talk for him. I used to be chair of this committee. Our current efforts include bike lane ordinances, probably the most low hanging fruit of which is do not park in the bike lane. People, please. So we're working on that, among other things. We had a great UGA student who's now at Tech go through and analyze in his free time, like all the bike lane ordinances across these major cities. And we have this great grid that he put together and we went through and we're like, what would be the easiest for us to implement in Athens? So that exists. That effort is still kind of out there. Crosswalk policy that, and it started in this committee and been really grateful to Sherelle for taking that on. That will be coming to you all to review probably our next meeting. So that's a new policy effort. And then this little nugget called small projects, which is going to the Mayor and Commission in their work session in September. I was going to do a transportation funding 101 with this presentation, but maybe I will next time. We have various sources of funding, which I'll talk about. Most of the time that goes to larger projects like Riverbend Road, like Barber Street, but there's some smaller things that we can do that could be done sooner, like sidewalk gaps, pilot projects, and we have a list of those that we are bringing forward to the Mayor and Commission. And I'll try and remember to bring that back to everyone to give everyone new an update. Sorry I didn't have that in here. Past efforts of policy and projects, we redid the Complete Streets policy. It was a multi-year effort because of the pandemic, but it was passed and approved by Mayor and Commission. And we also had some bike pedestrian candidate projects come from this committee and then of course were approved. That's policy and projects. I hope you're very excited about that one. Randy would love to have more folks on that committee. And I will turn it over to Teresa for education and communications.
Well, pretty much what it says.
That's Teresa right there. Oops,
Oh,
sorry.
yes, that is. Yeah, I'm in a lot of these pictures. That I didn't plan on that, but anyway, so we do outreach and tabling. And we're gonna try and put together what's called an open streets event. We've been talking about this since our inception, but it has just never come to pass. So maybe in conjunction with Porch Fest, we'll be able to do some sort of little mini hybrid open streets event.
I'm just going to throw in an amendment on that. So there's a new term that's different from open streets, which is a larger thing. It's called play streets.
Play streets.
Specifically smaller.
Okay.
So I think that's a good first step to get towards open streets, but play streets.
Open streets has always confused me for reasons I don't understand, but okay. I would love to go play in the street. Hope you'll join me. So, yeah, we do, social media and things like that. We, we press release. Anything that will go out to the public, that's kind of what we do, and it all gets approved by the whole commission, so. Yeah, and our big fun thing we did last year was we got these wonderful vests, that we've been giving out to people that, they have our logo on and, they're reflective, so if you don't have a vest, just let me know, I'll make sure you get one. Okay. Right, they're in my garage, so. Next
We'll just
meeting,
follow you home.
please do. All right. And yeah, we're gonna need more people to help with stuff. We've got on September 7th, we have an event at UGA, which is, it's an annual thing.
Yes, and
Sorry.
I do have that as an agenda item, so we can talk about that in detail.
All right.
So I will say that even though a lot of event tabling originates with education and communications, it's an all hands on deck kind of thing, ideally. We have folks from across the commission there. Thank you, Teresa. Grants and data is currently on hiatus because our chair is no longer here. So if you have an interest or speciality in grants.
I think all of the members of that committee are no longer on the commission.
Right.
So
That's true.
it is an empty committee at the moment. If someone wants to start it back up. Grants and data.
It's a great sales pitch.
Gist of it has been, one of the things that we looked at regarding data was reworking the criteria for the Athens in Motion reprioritization. The other items, they review the grants that we write the narratives for and provide copy editing and stuff. And we have members in each of the committee. There are people who attend regularly, but they're not on the committee because they're not on the commission. But Jake Moss from UGA, he's a grant writer there, and he used to be on the commission and wanted to stay involved through that. So he will still sometimes review our grant applications and stuff for copy editing and stuff. And we're just we can kind of make it what we want if we have someone who's interested in that. Fewer meetings for me to schedule if not, so no pressure there.
Well, I'm more interested in some of these other things, but I write grants all the time. I mean, that's basically my job at UGA. So,
You know what you do.
well, about a third of the time I do. So
If you're working in the CCRC, I bet you probably got some data.
I got a lot of data and I got a lot of grants.
Nice. Yeah. I feel like there's always that sort of like push and pull of like, do I want to contribute the thing that I'm professionally good at? Do I want to do something totally
That I
different?
actually know, or do I want to learn something new?
Yeah. So, well, no pressure there. You can think about that. Because we do have another committee, the ad hoc Athens in Motion Plan Update Committee. This is Mayor Killigers, and he is not on this committee, sadly. I'm sure we would love to have our elected officials on there, but I put him on here because our plan with this update is, once we get further along, to have more involvement with our elected officials, to really get them on board. So that way they will be like Mayor Gertz and stand in front of some boards on a sidewalk and sing the praises of the Athens in Motion plan. So that's a goal for all of our commissions.
And just to be clear, the Athens in Motion Plan is that 262-page PDF that I found out there.
Yes. Monster.
With the appendices.
There's appendices, and we're not rewriting the appendices, but we have an outline that got approved that if you go to the next ad hoc committee, we can share that, or we can share it before. I guess there's probably some documents we just need to push out to you all.
It may be worth like just revisiting like that discussion because it's been several months. And honestly, I could use a refresher.
You mean in one of these meetings? Or
However we want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes it ad hoc?
Because it's not going to exist into perpetuity. I mean, I guess nothing will.
Leading.
The plan will, will just exist in terms of infrastructure and it won't exist into perpetuity. But that's why, I mean, yeah, it's probably less ad hoc than grants and data, but.
I suspect that you're probably gonna finish this revision and start on the next one.
Well, our goal is to have this process done over the next year. And then it should be a couple of years for the next one.
Yeah. 262.
Are you saying that this plan is always under construction, like 285?
Yeah, that's kind of, well, I mean, other big plans that I've been involved with have been.
Right.
Things change all the time.
Beyond those committees, we have some corridor committees, and these are a little bit, I don't mean to say less work, but we don't have to serve as the chair or take minutes for these committees. Teresa, do you want to talk a little bit about Atlanta Highway Committee and just so people get a feel for like what that's like?
Okay, so Alan and I are actually,
Oh, that's right, yes.
and it's to make recommendations about the T-SPLOST 2018 funding for Atlanta Highway. And so there was a number of things that came out of that money that was allocated, including some planning and design work for Timothy and Mitchell Bridge roads. And so the mayor and commission will be hearing about the result of the plans that have, I believe they've been finished at this point. But this committee will probably go away as soon as the T-SPLOST 2018 funds are gone. And then some different committees will be appointed because 2023 funding will pick up on Timothy Mitchell Bridge where 18 funding leaves off. And then Atlanta Highway also has a big project from Athens in Motion for pedestrian and bike access as well. And so there will be that piece and, who knows what else will come out of this.
Yeah. So these corridor committees are tied to T-SPLOST funds, and T-SPLOST projects generally have a user group behind them, that's why these exist. So these are outside Athens in Motion, but we like to have an Athens in Motion person there.
Are these things defined in some place accessible to us? I mean, how would I learn what it's entailed in becoming a corridor, for example?
Oh, the corridors have been defined by, studies done in the past.
Okay, well, I'm.
Yeah.
How do I?
Like we got
educate?
Atlanta Highway, we've got Lexington Road, we've got Prince Avenue.
We have a projects list, I think, that
Probably.
was set up recently, like it's a spreadsheet by Randy. And so honestly, it's a lot for us as staff to keep up with. So
Well, I think Ed's just asking like, what is a corridor and how do I figure out what our corridors are? Do you have a page for it?
that's a lot for us to keep up with. Ultimately, when you really get into what defines our project ranges, you've got like the corridor projects are ones where we're really looking at beyond just a type of infrastructure. We're looking at the complete streets approach in general. It's the ones that have multiple representatives from different departments. Essentially, when the mayor and commission creates the SPLOST or T-SPLOST project, it's usually then defined as a corridor funded thing. So it could go towards traffic calming, intersection improvements, multi-use paths, bike lanes, safety improvements, lighting, transit bus stops, like there's all sorts of things that kind of get wrapped under there. And through those processes, as we meet with the user groups and go through rounds of public engagement, we set up kind of that list, prioritized list. And so currently the three main corridors that are funded in this next round, T-SPLOST 2023, which it is now T-SPLOST 23, not 22. say it was 23, they switched it to 22, now it's back to 23, so
Thank you.
just want to throw that out there, because you might see different things where we updated dates in different spots. So in T-spots 23, we've got Atlanta Highway, Lexington, and then the Prince Avenue / Jefferson Road. Those are the main 3 corridors that are funded through that. But we also have like North Avenue Corridor Project, which is funded through RAISE. And so
So in a nutshell, Ben, the corridors are defined within the details of funding efforts.
right. And the user groups that make up those projects, like the user groups for those projects usually have one representative from Athens in Motion on that user group. But the Athens in Motion projects that are funded, like Barber Street, Cherokee Road, those, the Athens in Motion Commission is the user group. So that's also a big differentiation.
Wow. So the answer is it depends.
Yeah, some corridors were defined in the past by corridor studies like Atlanta Highway and Lexington, which are both state route or US 78 actually. And so those were defined as a corridor through that study and the efforts that led to that study. Oconee Street also has a corridor study, but we haven't gotten to a point really talking about that.
Okay. Well, and I don't want to bog us down in minutia on this and everything, but I've seen this and I don't understand. Well, you know, I live off of Millage. Is that a corridor?
State route.
State route.
We don't call it a
It's-
corridor.
Well, but the things you're talking about are related to planning. So May Courts has done corridor studies. So Millage is an Athens in Motion project, tier 1. So that will be a capital project funded through most likely T-Splosh or a grant associated with that.
So I was going to ask a question, and now might be a good time to do it. The state roads, I mean, my complaining, I went either to UGA, ACC, or GDOT. And it seems like they all intersect, and there's like, you know, some intersections is one and some intersections are another. And it's such a confusing, do we interact with GDOT at all?
Yes.
Hey.
We do. The short answer is yes, and staff is constantly coordinating with them, having regular meetings, and Daniel will usually fill us in. But yes, exactly. And yes, it's complicated.
Yeah.
And ultimately, to simplify that kind of thing, in my role of like PED coordinator, when people do approach me with a question about something, I don't just say, oh, you need to contact GDOT. I usually take the complaint or idea and then I process it through our mechanisms of connection. You know, we'll talk with UGA if there's something like, I don't want to put that burden on the resident who is trying to has done the work to eventually find me. And I don't need to add more to that person's plate. So yeah, I always appreciate people who reach out to me. Like by the time they found me, I can usually figure out who they need to talk to and get it handled. But we also get a lot of comments about leisure services facilities, for instance, and that's why we work closely with Todd, because it's easy for me to just call Todd up and say, hey, got this question. You know, just this morning I got a report of a tree across the trail over by Waffle House, and so they had the crews out there to put in a work order after I sent it.
Okay, I'm gonna move us along because we are heading into staff updates time. But yes, thank you for your questions. They are great questions. Okay, ideally, I would love to have someone take my spot on Prince Avenue. So let me know if you're interested. We have our UGA and Greenway appointees. We'll hear, Lane already said that he's got some stuff for us today about from UGA. So we look forward to that and anything from you at representing the Greenway. And then the T-Splosh 2023 Oversight Committee, Alan is on that. So, you know, anything that we haven't covered here, if you guys have approved something or anything you want to share, that's fine. Sometimes there hasn't been a meeting and that's fine. So some other information, oh yeah, we're kind of at the end. I included this in the agenda, but right now these are our full commission meetings up through August 2024. I really want to draw your attention to the 2023 side. We meet 4th Tuesdays. November, that meeting usually serves as our annual meeting, and often we've had to move it to 4th Tuesday, but it's actually not the week of Thanksgiving this year. We might do an additional meeting in December if staff has some items for us or we have business or anything we need to approve. And so I'm putting a placeholder there because also there's been some meetings where we haven't been able to meet quorum. So look ahead to your schedule and please try and let me know in advance if you will not be able to make one of our meetings because it can affect our ability to get business done. So let me know as far in advance as you can. But we will decide on our November, December meeting by our October meeting. And again, this is in the agenda. I didn't just want to have this be our presentation. I wanted to maybe just point out term expiration dates because I was kind of surprised because they weren't what I thought they would be. So just notice your term expiration date. I didn't have a say in any of this. You were appointed to fill a particular role and that role had a certain expiration date. So you may be filling in someone else's term. And again, we had no say in this on the commission. We don't get to choose who's on here.
We need to follow up on this because it started off where they were staggered 3 in groups of 3. So it used to be 24, 25, 26, I believe.
Yeah.
And 3 people each. So I'm not really sure how these. We need to figure that out. I'll reach out to the.
Yeah, I think mine looks right. Teresa's looks right. Craig.
Teresa and Randy went through at the same time, correct?
Hey, Craig, you're up next year. That's right. Craig's is right.
Nobody 25.
Huh?
Nobody rotates off in 25.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that term does not exceed the length of my term on the Greenway Commission. So I don't know if that's a logistical challenge or not. But I'm probably gonna re-up, so it'll probably be okay.
Okay, yeah, and that's fine. Thank you for that observation, Daniel.
Yeah,
A quick note, all official Athens in Motion communications come from the chair. That's me. That being said, I'm only one person and there's been plenty of times where I have said, hey, fellow commissioners, can you educate and inform people or, a commissioner that you are close to about the decisions that we have made. So it's not, you don't speculate. It's really just about official things or help them understand the plan. And that has been, I think, helpful. We've also had past commissioners, AIM commissioners kind of reach out to their commissioner and just provide some insider insight. So when in doubt, ask me, but all official AIM communications come from me. I made a glossary of terms and abbreviations. Yes, I got an applause. So AIM is Athens in Motion. I say M&C a lot. That's Mayor and Commission. TPW is Transportation and Public Works. RRFB is, I hope I got this right, Rapidly Rotating Flashing Beacon.
No, not rapid.
Oh, what is it?
No, not rotating. They don't rotate.
It's
Rapid rectangular flashing beacon.
I always get that one wrong. Rapid.
We call them, you should put a little parentheses, blinky flashes.
Blinky flash.
I'm just gonna resist the impulse to ask what the heck that is. But
Rapid, not rapidly.
Crosswalk.
push the button, blinky, blinky.
Yeah, I feel like this is the sign language for it. Blinky.
Oh, it's rapid, not rapidly.
I'm trying so hard to. Oh,
It's okay.
thank you, Daniel.
I would like to see what a rapidly rectangular thing is.
Rapid rectangular flash. Okay. Multi-use path. NACTO is and AASHTO. These are official, they're sources of our transportation guides. This is what the professionals use. I am not a professional, but, you know, when you hear Daniel say, well, in NACTO, it says this, or when Sherelle talks about crosswalks and speeds and AASHTO guidelines, that's where that's coming from. And then FHWA is Federal Highway Administration. And then we kind of throw around this word facilities a lot. And in the context of transportation, it just means like sidewalks and bike lanes and multi-use paths, okay? We're not talking about bathroom facilities.
You should probably say a program too. Program gets tossed out.
This is not meant to be comprehensive. So,
Is the term still multi-use path or is it now shared use path?
It's optional and we are multi-use path. That's what we have decided to say.
Oh, that's what you, okay.
I consider pretty.
Different from multi-use trail, which is the leisure services facility. Very specific.
So multi-use is basically pedestrians and bikes.
All right, so we are behind schedule. That's all right. We'll probably just have a shorter update from Daniel because he's been filling us in on some items along the way anyway. Thank you, Daniel.
Can you send us those slides or
Yes.
put them on whatever shared?
It is on the share.
Okay.
It's definitely, it's there.
I can get that.
I'll make sure I send out a link to it so you can find it on the share. How about that? So you don't have to dig around for it. Our next item on the agenda is the Reconnecting Communities Letter of Support, which I'm going to pull up now. And Daniel, are you able to talk about this or do you want to just, okay. So the idea is to take a vote on this today and just give it to Sherelle. And again, this is one of those things where a lot of times I will just write the letter, but I would love for us to have all of our signatures on this.
Yeah, so every now and then we're going to be asking you guys for a letter of support. This is essentially a letter to, in this case, Secretary Buttigieg, to support our application for reconnecting communities and neighborhoods grant. This specific grant is a planning grant for, I believe, $1 million. And it encompasses Hawthorne Avenue and north-south from Prince to Broad, or it may even actually go down to Baxter. So it includes Alps there because of the bike lanes. And east-west Oglethorpe between Mitchell Bridge Road and Prince Avenue. So there's two of the top most dangerous segments there. You can read the information here. Essentially, it'd be great to get a consensus that you all approve the letter. This is something that Greenway Commission typically does as well. And in general, the support of the letter, there can still be some minor edits and stuff after that. If there's like some copy editing, if you want to help, if there's something you notice, you can reach out to Lauren about the phrasing. But yeah, it's we got with this grant last year, we did a debrief and we found out that our application made it all the way to Secretary Buttigieg's desk. And the most important thing was just, we need that support. So the letters of support are really vital for that. And we're also reaching out to elected officials, Senator Ossoff, Senator Warnock, our House of Representatives at the federal level, as well as all the state representatives. Usually it's kind of a pretty comprehensive list, and we work with the mayor to get that put out. Anyways, we would love to get y'all's support on this. And there was a question recently from one of the local commissioners who asked what interactions the Athens in Motion Commission had with the North Avenue raise grant that we received for $25 million. And so letters like this are super important to show that y'all are working to help us get these things done.
Questions?
Do you make a motion to accept the letter?
I will entertain a motion to accept the letter.
The letter's great. They're just, putting us I or we, There's a couple of times.
Say that again?
Oh, yeah.
You see where it's I instead of we are, I think it just happened twice. If you're writing it as a first person or you're writing it as third person, or, I mean,
From the commission.
the first person plural.
That's a good point.
The top 50 out of what, measured against what, top 50 most dangerous segments? Is that in our county?
In Athens.
Yeah.
County, yeah. I believe that is,
I assume because the earlier part of that paragraph says that Prince and Baxter intersects 5 of the top 10 most dangerous street segments in the
In the
county.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can take that.
yeah, thank you.
We've done a version of this letter before too.
Yeah, final paragraph was on that as well. So that,
And we'll usually put together the template and then y'all can make changes to it as needed.
Right. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for, Cheryl kind of made it easy. Sometimes I'll spend a lot of time like writing these and then it's really helpful when Cheryl can help or Daniel. So I will entertain a motion to approve this letter to go to Pete Buttigieg for the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods Planning Grant application. All right, first from Ted, second Art. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have some fall tabling events, which we teased in our previous presentation. One is UGA Safety Day, which is Thursday, September 2nd. And then Torch Fest. I'm going to leave this up here so you all can see the dates as Teresa.
September 7th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's at the Tate Student Center. There's a plaza there. And you can park in the deck there that's just kind of below the plaza. And so there will be tables supplied and a tent supplied. We just have to bring whatever we're going to bring for our tabling event. We have some wristbands. I'm going to bring a few vests. I don't plan to give out a vest to every student that comes our way because most of them will not wear them. But if somebody says, I would love to have a safety vest, we will give them a safety vest.
Yeah, we also talked about just having a set number to give away. That way we still have some for other
Right,
events.
right. And then, really just, do we want, I would love to hear if anybody has any particular ideas for how we kind of set it up. I mean, last year, a whole bunch of us showed up, we just sort of winged it and it was fun and all, but, do we have a particular message that we want to try to convey to our students? Does anybody want to work with me on that? And then we do need people to just be there, 9 to 2. I'll be there because I have all the stuff in my garage, so I kind of have to.
I will, these events are super busy, so I would love to have 2-hour shifts, so that way people don't get burned out. So
I could do a 2-hour morning shift.
Okay. that'd be super.
I'll show up. We can coordinate when you need me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not really good at that sort of thing because I just sort of, I'm terrible at scheduling.
Well, I'm good at winging.
Yeah. I will be there before 9 schlepping stuff. And I'll probably just stay there the whole day because I've got to re-schlep it back to my garage.
Like you could take a break or something.
Yeah.
I could go get lunch.
But okay. So,
And we can, let's send out a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And I'll send it out to all of you. We'll set up
Yeah,
some shifts, including some.
do we want to bring a computer and talk about, do we have the map? Has it gone live yet? The Athens Emotion map, Daniel?
I've not done anything with that.
It's not ready yet.
Is that something that we voted to do? I may have missed it.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of fun things that we could do there. I mean, if it's raining, we obviously don't want to have computers and electric wires and stuff.
I guess so typically printing a banner map or large scale map, unless you're just doing it with a plotter. If we go through like Athens blueprint, that's usually on paper would be around $50, could be $200 to $300 for banner material. Do we want to do that before the revision of the network?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I was thinking of your interactive map, like, do we bring some computers and have access to that? So if your interactive map is open,
We have that. I
Okay.
believe it's
all
publicly
right, well, the
available.
weather's nice, we can just bring some laptops if people want to see it, but, I'll think about what we want to.
We have, most people just have their phone and read a QR code. If we have a QR code, they're
Right.
bring up the map.
Oh, and once upon a time, I gave you a mock-up of some business cards for Athens.
Yeah, it's just, it hasn't made it to the list.
Okay,
The
whatever.
problem is that the QR code links to our webpage and the webpage isn't really fully developed. It's just a link for the Athens in Motion plan. So I think it'd be helpful to, if one of the committees wants to work on ideas for the webpage, I do need to find out if, and I think I already know the answer, but you do have ACC Gov logins now, so I'm curious if commissioners can attend the training for how to build a web page. I'm curious, did you ever learn? Okay, so I mean, we have someone on the commission who knows how.
They
And
never revoke your access.
I'm not gonna
I
volunteer.
haven't tried, but I can, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I have like limited permissions on the website though, so it's kind of, it becomes part of a larger question, and the biggest thing with that is that there's a new staff person who is coordinating all new web pages, and we've been asked to hold off on creating new ones until that person's fully onboarded.
Okay, so we'll just focus on this event.
Yes.
Teresa, do you think that you will have an education communications meeting before the safety day? You can think about that.
I need to think about that.
Okay. So either way, be on the lookout for a spreadsheet of, at least for for safety day. It was really fun. There were there's like a ton of students. It's really great. Go ahead, Art.
Do we have the policy in terms of like recommending bike shops or where to go to get their bike fixed or something? If students come up and we can say, oh, it's a great way to go.
Well, we can't right now because Bike Athens is moving. So.
But I mean,
any
as a
bike-
commission, we can still recommend people turn to Bike Athens, or I don't know.
Yeah,
what.
they're nonprofit, yeah.
Okay,
As a resource.
but we can't say go to the hub or something.
I think it's fine. We're not posting it online or.
I'm just,
I would use it as an opportunity to tell them about all the bike shops. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend one over the other.
Yeah.
Just as a representative from AIM. But yeah, I think you could say, there's the hub, there's Sunshine over there, like depending on where you live, here's the one that's closest to you. That could be helpful.
We haven't endorsed any particular bike shop. So it would really just be your opinion as a person.
yeah, okay, I didn't know what I was, so as a private citizen, this is where I.
Generally speaking, when we're doing bike education classes about telling people how to get your bike fixed, we mention all the shops, we mention the fix-it stations that are around the county and UTA. We tell people about us, fix your own bike night. We just want everyone to know as much information as they can about what's out there.
Barrier to get on a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then mark your calendars for Porch Fest. This is coming down the road and we're still discussing. We'll be discussing about what the extent of our involvement will be. The last year we were down there and it was great because there was the Prince Avenue pilot project. And people were biking with their tiny little kids down the bike lane. And I was like, we've done a good thing here. So yes, so please look out on your email for that and we'll see. There will definitely be another, I'd say, education communications meeting between now and that event.
Definitely.
All right, so staff updates. I know we're a little late. Todd, thank you for waiting. Still there?
I am, sorry.
No, you're great.
Give me just a second, I'll get it up, the screen up.
And Daniel, we'll probably do a really quick update for you. I want them to have time to talk about committees.
Okay.
Is that okay?
One day I'll have an update. Full length.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so just quick orientation. This is the Cars Creek Greenway Trail segment extension. It's basically the water treatment facility. I'm trying to orientate myself. This is College Station Road right here. This is the entry into the UGA parking ride area, and then the Athens water treatment facility is here. And then Barnett Shoals is right here, and the outer loop is running right here. So this is basically the East Campus Greenway segment that goes up to the racetrack area and to East Campus. And so what we're looking at is we have started construction on the Cars Creek Greenway, which is this purple line. They have the grading is in the 60, 70+% complete stage. They are beginning to form the retaining walls along the trail in a couple of spots. And you can see they've started putting some graded aggregated base down to start pouring the concrete trail segment. Probably next month's when the concrete will start going in. But this piece right here that you see with the ups and downs is basically this part right here. So we basically in the design pulled the trail away from the creek so that we could not have a guardrail up against the creek and to preserve that natural walking surface. And we will have that as an alternate for people to enjoy along the creek. So anyway, that's that project. And then the next one is Firefly Trail Phase 3 expansion, which basically goes from Winterville, the city of Winterville, all the way back to the current end of the Firefly Trail at Hancock Road near the streets office. And SPLOST is working on acquiring construction easements with the goal of hopefully having construction starting 2024, in this early January, February, spring, March, kind of, that beginning of 2024. And then just to give y'all a little quick update, we and this may be something Blaine might know a little more about as well, is so I don't know if you've noticed, but at Dudley Park, we have taken back the parking spots in the rear of the parking lot, and UGA has reverted back to their parking spots, which basically more aligns with the property lines and everything. We originally had like 25 Greenway parking and Dudley Park parking spots in the front area. And so those have gone back to UGA. And so we're in the process of signing and striping and all that good stuff, the rear parking lot, which will give us 73 parking spaces for trails and park use, which is like a net gain of 48 parking spaces that are more dedicated to the trails and so forth. And then we've gotten the agreement back from the Winterville, old Winterville Road racetrack. And so we still got to the attorney's got to look at racetracks revisions, what they wanted, but we're getting a step closer to getting the 16 parking spaces at the racetrack designated as parking ride spaces. So and then those will be signed and striped as well so that people can use them to ride the trails. So that'll be 16 spaces. So we'll hopefully fairly soon we'll have in the neighborhood of almost 90 something new, basically 90 something spaces to park and use the trail system. And that's the major points that I wanted to hit today.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Yeah, thanks for those updates. Questions, quick questions?
I was actually going to mention some of that from the Greenway, so.
Yeah, this is what's great about having Todd go first.
Time saver.
Yeah, we'll still come back to you though. Well, thank you, Todd. All right, it is 5:30. Daniel, what do you most want to hit on?
All right. Oh, well, y'all can't see this. Shoot.
And I will say, we do have the project updates in the agenda, so you can see where things are, like Barber Street CDO passed, Riverbend Road is in preliminary engineering, and so on and so forth. So we're not going to talk, probably won't get into detail with those today, but we are kind of regularly updating this in the agenda, at least.
Yeah, so this is kind of my official update that I have. I haven't been sending this out. I'm still working on details below, but North Avenue project is moving along. We're working on the grant agreement still. And the RFQ process to identify a consultant to do the work should be figured out by the end of September.
RFQ is?
Request for qualifications. So there's RFP, RFQ. One is proposals, one is qualifications. Don't need, I'm still figuring out this.
Oh, I'm glad you clarified that, because in my world, an RFQ is a request for quote.
Yeah. Good to know. So yeah, a request for quote translates to RFP for us because the proposal would be the quote. So that gets fun.
Well, we do that too. We have RFPs.
We are about to do early public engagement efforts. Sherelle and Julia are working with Jacobs and PIO and GIO. So there should be a public forum on October 14th. And there's going to be a survey available mid-September until mid-October. We'll keep you guys up to date as that gets developed. I've been on the periphery of that just because of my other workload. Riverbend Road project is most likely our next delivered Athens in Motion project. So currently the corrected 85% plans were delivered to us, and we have been reviewing that. We're meeting with property owners, and then also UGA since they're involved. This would be a multi-use path from College Station Road down to Riverbend Parkway, and then it transitions to the existing bike lanes until you get to, I think it's Lakeshore Drive, and then down to Millage is a multi-use path again. So they didn't want to build out the full multi-use path, they being mayor and commission, when they approved the commission defined option. So we are working on making that transition with those bike lanes as safe as possible, but it's always kind of tricky when you're switching between the facility types. So Cherokee Road, we're working on corrected 85% plans there. This is Arcadis as well. So these are the firm here, Arcadis. That's who's working on those. And that's basically the update there. It'll come after Riverbend Road. Jefferson River Road multi-use path is, I've not gotten an update. I don't even really know who's designing that. Ronnie, do you know who is designing the Jefferson River Road multi-use path, who the consultant would be? I know it's run through Engineering and Construction Division, but he might have stepped away.
Right, he did, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He
Well, I'll find out later. But yeah, so that's coming up after that. Barber Street project, we just received a PSS and nope, no idea what it means. I was gonna rack my brain for it. It's not there. Dinesh is gonna be the, I think, consultant there who is taking this through 60% plan submittal. we will have more meetings regarding this project. We're expecting this is probably spring of next year, maybe later. These have all gotten kind of slowed down through various means recently, but we are hoping to pick up and get those submitted and under construction ASAP. The Athens in Motion sub-projects, just to give you an overview of what that looks like.
That's what I called small projects in the
Yeah.
presentation.
So this is the small projects, and I'll go ahead and cover it here since Randy's not here to talk about projects and policy. That's all right. We are viewing the work session with the managers next week. I just worked on the presentation, reviewed that with my supervisors today, and we're gonna make some changes to the presentation and then the agenda item as well. That'll be on our September, October cycle, so we've been able to keep that slot. And so hopefully we'll get a vote in October and we'll know whether or not those sub-projects are approved. That would give us, it would take the current SPLOST and T-SPLOST dollars that are all dedicated towards bike and ped in general for our general funds. And it would pull out, I think it was around 20% maybe of the budget to go towards these smaller projects so that we could really get more work done. As I mentioned earlier, these bigger capital projects take a lot of years and we still don't have anything on the ground. So the goal here is to get some sidewalk gaps filled in, get some bike lane gaps filled in. So it's $1 million for sidewalks, sidewalk gaps, $1 million for bike lane gaps, 600,000. This might be out of date actually, but it might be around 600,000 for accessibility, ADA improvements, pilot program, road diets, and grant matching funds. So the exact amounts are going to be in the agenda item, and we will have that submitted soon. So I'll keep you guys up to date. And Lauren, we are going to probably just have you be there in person. We were told, with the way that they're doing the meetings now, instead of having BACs present with staff, they'll be there to answer questions. So
Okay.
you'll be there to answer questions. You'll be right next to us. We'll handle the presentation itself. So you don't have to worry about practicing with us.
Okay.
The Athens in Motion bylaws is on the agenda for this next vote, September 5th. So until then, our bylaws still remain that you need 6 people to meet quorum. And that's fine now that we have a full commission, but it was very difficult when we had 6 active members. And we still had to meet 6 because of the way that it was written. So I'm also working with Benesh, our tool design group, on Athens in Motion Wikimap. I have not gotten an update in the last few weeks, so I'm going to follow up about that now that I'm kind of back from a vacation. We need to talk about this more, but bike rack subsidy program, we did purchase 20 bike racks last fiscal year. And we are looking for places to distribute those. Depending on where they go, if they go on government property, we can really do the install ourselves. If they go on parks, then we can provide those for free to Leisure Services to do the install. If they go on private property, we have a sample agreement that the attorney's office has already sent us for setting up that, like, here's a free bike rack. You just have to acknowledge that you are now in charge of maintaining and replacing this in the future, so that there's no expectation that we will always, replace. We haven't really fully built that out. That's something that we keep planning to discuss in projects and policy, but that committee gets pretty burdened with a lot of projects and policy stuff. So
Just briefly, the private owners is that saying that should the bike rack need updating or maintaining or replacing, that they need to foot the bill, not that they are obliged to do so in perpetuity.
yes, I believe so. I haven't noticed that lately, but I think
That seems more reasonable.
yeah, I would hope that there's something in our ordinances that requires not just the initial install of bike parking, but the maintenance of into perpetuity. I think that's an important aspect of having that as a requirement in the development code. Kind of curious now, so I might stop by if there's not gonna be anybody here in a bit, so maybe another day. But that's a great question. Let's follow up on that. The crosswalk policy revision is in progress. We're setting up a meeting with traffic engineering. We're kind of in that final review. We've created our kind of final draft, and once we have that meeting with traffic engineering, we're gonna bring it back to the policy projects group, and then we'll distribute, or we'll just distribute directly to the commission, depending on what Randy wants to do there. We did receive our bike-friendly community status from the application. We're bronze, so we maintained our ranking of bronze, which honestly is pretty good. You know, it's been difficult to get bike lanes in and expand the network, and so.
Yeah, and I mean, the criteria has increased, right? It's like become.
Yeah. Yeah, they added a lot more, but we have that built, and we have to reapply every 4 years to maintain. We can reapply as often as we want. So I'm kind of planning on doing a once a year thing because it's a lot easier than waiting 4 years and then refreshing my brain on everything. So if I can just, you know, keep track of what I did this year and change that and see what it does, then. But out of that, we actually had a really great set of feedback on the report card that they gave us. Gave us like 15 or 20 items of things that we can do to get promoted silver.
I was just in a BFC meeting with other people that have also done the application, and they said that they're making everyone's report cards available. So if you want to look at other cities and see how they did, how we can improve, all that information is becoming available.
Awesome. Yeah, and they were very specific about things. They responded to public feedback. There was, I think, 80 something surveys that were responded to in our community based on it. You know, it ranges from opening up greenway facilities after dark is one of the recommendations, all the way to you know, building out our plan. So they're basically like, great work, keep it up. You know, get these things going. And so with that, I'm hoping that we're talking internally about how we can kind of strategize, and we do a department strategic plan every few years. And so I'm really wanting to, instead of just having what's written into our current strategic plan under the bike stuff, which is like make more bike lanes, I really want to have some things that are achievable. You know, like instead of build out 100% of the bike network, like I'm never going to be able to check that off. So here's what we want to do the next 3 years, and that'll be based off of the bike friendly community application. So we'll share more of that. Maybe that could be a session on its own. Maybe it can go to a committee. But I'll keep you all up to date. Bike share. I've gotten a lot of requests recently with school back in session about them moving into like why it locks down when it reaches right of way. And I met with them a couple months ago, and they wanted to expand it into the right of way. And then I reached out to them a couple weeks ago, and they said that last week they were going to have it. And then someone reached out, said it was locking down. So I sent out another email, but to Ben, but I haven't found out anything. I don't know if you know anything.
Yeah, we've got our account rep we can reach out to also.
Okay.
I mean, we've constantly pushed that we want to have kind of a uniform system between the campus and the city.
Yeah, I know it's been kind of confusing for them because it seems like they need to get permission, but according to our attorney's office, they don't need to get permission. So
I think they were just being cautious.
Yeah.
Because of what's happened in the past.
Understandable.
Art has a question.
Well, what is the right of way in this case?
The public right of way, so all of our roadways. So currently it's geofenced to only UGA roads and campus and the roads around campus. Not even the greenway. So they will shut down on you if you go onto the.
I saw one stalled out today riding over here on the green.
But they won't go on the.
No, because they have to get an agreement with Leisure Services.
They have to be on UGA campus.
But that's a lost opportunity with the parking lot at College Station going to,
I was gonna take my partner on these new bikes on the trail.
yeah.
No, I've been getting a lot of comments because people want to take their partners who are less comfortable riding bikes onto the e-bikes, and that's our bike share, and people are excited to see them. So there's definitely demand and,
We're pushing it to, I mean,
yeah.
the connectivity
Yeah.
of the parking lot.
The Greenway Commission is aware of this issue.
Okay. It sounds like we'll figure this out pretty soon. Yeah.
Is there helmet sharing ever with these things? I always worry when I see people who don't know what they're doing and they just ride on, you know,
I think
they're
they have like free helmets.
They have, yeah,
at the rental, site of rental.
not at the site, but if you contact, and there's information on their app on how to obtain them. And we had some in one of our offices that we were distributing for them. I think they'll certainly have some at the bicycle safety day next month. Yeah, they are giving away
helmets.
free helmets.
But yeah, in terms of how it, like at the bike, I don't think there's a way to,
Yeah, that's always worried.
And technical standards and Hawthorne and.
most of this stuff I don't really need to get into.
Yeah,
This is the rest of my project, but
Okay, this is what I mean by please be nice to Daniel.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, like,
it keeps going.
oh my God,
Okay.
There it is.
So-
are you?
I need to make a phone call about dinner. I'll be.
Yeah, I mean, just, we see Daniel's work here, but of course, like, Ron and Steven and Sherelle, I know they have a similar list. Yeah, are you able to send that to us, or do you not want to send something like that to us?
Once I finish, I'm still compiling. Some of the stuff at the bottom is from a year ago.
Okay, this is great. I'll get with you, Daniel, about how to best get this information out to the fans going forward. But yeah, thank you.
Honestly, like going through it is like there's so many that it's hard for me to keep track of. Like, oh, I forgot that project a year ago. I need to follow up on that. It's like, it's been assigned to someone else, but no one ever did anything. So those are, it helps me just to keep up with it, and I'm trying to be better about it. So, yeah, my goal is to have this as something that I can send out to the commission a week in advance. That way, when y'all are forming your agenda, it's almost like you've been able to read everything and you can specifically put things on the agenda that you want to ask me about. Almost like we could plan this thing out. It's only taken me 2 or 3 years to get there.
We're getting there. Okay, so in our last couple of minutes, I think what I would like to do as far as the committee in order to report back information is have the brief report backs from going down to the bottom from UGA, Greenway, and T-SPOS. And then maybe get a meeting date set from Education and Communications and the ad hoc committee. And I think it would be okay for us to adjourn at that point and then have sort of people hang around who are available to figure out, to ask questions about the committees. What do you think, Daniel? Think that would be appropriate?
Repeat the question.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like, go ahead and set the meeting dates and adjourn, and then people who are available to stay can hang around and ask questions about the committees and decide which ones they might want to show up to.
Yeah, we should set up little tables where it's like, come talk to me about my.
Yes, we'll have a little tabling section. Does that sound okay for you all? Okay, so we'll start with Blaine, UGA. What's up? Happy to see all the students.
It's a different vibe on campus right now. They're back. It's busier. There's a lot of energy. It's good. It's good. You get too complacent sometimes in the summertime, but some of the things they've done, we've done some work on campus. One of the highlight was at Carlton Street and Sanford Drive, right across from in between the Coliseum and Georgia Center. They just completed a reconfiguration of this box crosswalk. There used to be a little a right turn lane, and there was a little lonely island that people would walk out to and stand very scared with vehicles coming in all directions. And they've eliminated that and reconfigured the box, and it's ADA accessible. It looks really good. I drove by it yesterday. That'll certainly help out when there's a lot of the major events at the Coliseum, which I guess we're having again this winter and spring. Next spring there'll be events there. But I wanted to point that out. It looks really good. Bicycle safety that you mentioned. Daniel did reach out to me we did change some of our enforcement hours as far as the parking lots go. On campus, we had a consultant last year, and along with Student Government Association, they wanted to get a little bit more consistency with our hours of enforcement. Sometimes some were 3:30, some were 4, 5, 6, 7. They were kind of all across the board. And so we went to a straight shot of either 6 p.m. or it's 11 p.m. 11 p.m. were the housing residential lots. But with that, we've noticed some concerns from groups that it impacts some of the things that are going on campus or around campus. And Daniel reached out to me about the Greenway, the park and ride lot that connects via the Greenway. That used to be 4 p.m. and now it says 6 p.m. So what we're doing with these, Ed and Daniel, some of these lots like that, we're asking for kind of concessions on eliminating how strict we are and how much we're enforcing those areas after hours. It happened the same way out of the intramural fields. We went to 6 p.m. and Rec Sports immediately contacted us saying they're going to have to change all their intramural programs. And that was not what we were trying to accomplish at all. We're just trying to get a little bit more consistency. And so we've made those concessions out there. We made some for the School of Music that has programs in the afternoon. And these are all parking lots that aren't busy in the afternoon with permit holders or students. And we can accommodate even the community or the students out at the intramural fields and things like that. So, if we notice any more, I'd ask you please to reach out if any other impacts like that we have. So we are asking for kind of concessions. Can we eliminate some of that without going back to our old model of having 10 different enforcement times across campus?
So
All that being said is
officially 6, loosely enforced?
yes. And we can talk, I think it was 4 o'clock before previously. And so that's where it is. At 4 o'clock, typically in that parking lot, there's ample space for the permit holders and the community to kind of share that space. And so we're not trying to say, hey, the kids come back and say, hey, yeah, you can pay the mobile app and park out there, but that's really not what we're going for. So yeah, that's what I would say is technically 6, loosely 4.
And what is the mobile app?
It's Park Mobile.
Park Mobile?
Park Mobile is the vendor that we use.
And so
campus.
So if I wanted to go there for lunch, I could pay to park for a couple hours via Park Mobile app.
Yes, there used to be a kiosk there, a solar powered kiosk that we removed. So all that being said, yeah, if you notice any other impacts around campus and that border the city, please let me know. Because it hasn't impacted just you, it has impacted some campus groups also.
The only other one I can think of is Chicopee Dudley, next to Dudley.
Yep.
Or-
It'd be the same thing, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same situation we were having in Park and Ride. In the afternoon, there's ample space to support both the university needs and the community.
So there's a sign though at that thing that says it closes, or like it's enforced until 6. Is that gonna be updated or is it just word of mouth?
Yes. I need to look at specifically those 2 areas where we're not kind of lulling back into all these different times where nobody knows which lot opens.
Understandable.
I almost wonder if there's like an additional thing that can be added for just the ones adjacent to greenways, that greenway parking or, is allowed from 4.
That's what we need to do, and maybe we can work together on the language of it. Because I don't want to leave it at just 6, if people will pull in and they'll leave. They'll go somewhere else, so maybe they'll park in a neighborhood or things like that. We don't want to encourage that.
Oh, I've pulled into a parking lot at 7 p.m. before and it wasn't clear that it wasn't enforced. And I'm like, I'm not getting into UGA tickets again. So
Not that bad.
I know. Well, back in when I was an undergrad,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I barely.
Todd, I saw you turn your camera on. Did you have a question or a comment about this?
I was just gonna say the Dudley Park lot, when we sign it, as far as our part, right now we're going with a 3-hour parking limit. and towing loosely enforced on that as well. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
So other than that, I just want to point out one more thing. Football season is upon us in less than 2 weeks. And September is especially brutal. There's
Home games in a row.
4 consecutive home games starting at Labor Day weekend all the way through September.
No, I'm trying to schedule bird walks in Athens for those weekends.
I just mentioned it because there's going to be a lot more people, a lot more vehicles, a lot more people who don't know or not necessarily know the area maybe. So just a heads up on that. And
All bets are off on game days.
Got any updates that haven't come?
Okay, work continues on the nature plan that I mentioned and everything. But going back to the after hours use on the Greenway and everything, the Greenway Commission and has come to no decisions or anything like that. In fact, I wasn't planning on talking about this until we brought it up, but they are aware that our mission to preserve the natural corridor of the Greenway, which does not necessarily involve trails, okay, and the mission to have the trails to provide for alternate means of transportation can sometimes be at odds. Okay, for example, for pedestrian and bicyclist safety, we would want lighting. For preservation of the natural habitat, we don't want lighting. For safety of pedestrians, the county would need to look at, police patrols and call boxes, and there's a whole lot of variables that would have to be put in play in order to let the Greenway truly be that later transportation for people, especially in the wintertime, who don't get off work till like 6 o'clock.
Right.
And then, it's well dark.
Yep.
So the Greenway Commission is aware of that. And Alex Bond is aware of the concerns as well coming from the commission. But, right now it's merely an awareness. We don't have any short-term answers.
Okay. Thanks for that update. Yeah. Alan, anything from the oversight committee?
We didn't have a meeting this month, so there wasn't anything, but generally since it started, we've had numerous presentations of here's what we plan to do with the T-Splosh money, and none have been very far afield from what the description of the T-Splosh project was. So nothing that's raised any red flags.
Great. Thank you. Okay, it's 5:58. So on the agenda, I'm going to pull it back up. I'm going to draw your attention to the meetings that have been scheduled, and I will be staying late to talk about some of these. So if you are interested in policy and projects, Randy's not here, but I can talk about that committee. And that meeting is September 22nd at 4 p.m. And we usually meet downstairs in TPW.
W conference room.
Yeah.
So if you go around the back of the building, that's the only way to access it. And you'll have to knock on the door. But we have a little conference room down there. We usually do our committee meetings there.
You said the 22nd,
It's 21st.
21st
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's bike racks down there. Thank you, Daniel.
at 4 p.m. you said?
And that usually goes about an hour and a half. So there's that committee, and I'm happy to chat with anyone about that after this meeting. And Teresa is Education Communications Chair. Do you want to schedule a meeting now, or do you want to talk with people who are interested?
Let's talk with the people who are interested,
Okay,
because
yeah.
I don't have an agenda forming in my head, and I don't want to schedule a meeting without an agenda.
That's fair. Okay, and how about we'll do the same for the ad hoc plan revision committee. I'll kind of take a look and see where the meetings are falling. But I'm also happy to chat with folks about that as well. Yeah, okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll do real quick commissioner rounds and we'll adjourn. So this is the time in the meeting where I hope that, everyone gets to say one thing, that way everyone got a chance to speak at the meeting. I think that the mayor and commission do this as well. It's just real quick. So we'll start in opposite direction from earlier. So Julie, you're being put on the spot. Your parting thought.
So excited to be here. Very informative. Very excited about the Education and Communication Committee, policy and projects, and just look forward to working with y'all for a while.
Yes, good. Scare her up. All right. Ed, parting thought?
I'm sorry I asked so many questions.
I'm glad for your questions.
Help us.
Craig?
Yeah, it's neat to see how there's this continuation of what's been going with a little bit of a reset. So it's a nice juxtaposition. It's good.
Yeah. Alan?
I'd be interested in the ad hoc committee for the plan.
Okay, yeah, let's talk.
This group does great work and I'm happy to be part of it.
We're happy to have you.
Welcome, new people, and so glad to have the old people still here.
Yes. Also, welcome. Thanks for hanging around. You see how we end up running out of time. Blaine?
Thanks. We're one of the new people.
Scott? Good parting thought?
Bikeathens.org/give. We're looking at moving into a different space that's gonna be more than double our rent. We've been doing very well at not having to do fundraising because we've been able to just sort of sell the bikes and fix bikes and people give us money, but this is gonna be big change. It's kind of chaos right now, so just bear with us.
If you can, donate to Bike Athens.
And I would point out that the donation process is quite easy.
Yeah. I've been meaning to do it for a while, and then finally I was like, okay, this is a good reason to do it, and it was like 5 minutes, so. And if you can't donate, then just share it as much as you can to the people who can.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can make a call to action to encourage people to give money on this commission, but I'm gonna say, learn more at bikeathens.org/give.
Yeah. It's totally up to everyone to choose how they want to spend their money, but I recently started donating. Recurring. And I think it'd be fun to get a social event together.
Yes.
We can have, it doesn't matter about quorum. If we're meeting for social purposes, we just can't discuss business. So we have clarification for that, and we are allowed to hang out outside of these meetings in groups larger than 5.
Great. Okay, so be on the lookout for a poll thing, because I would love to have us all do something together. If you want, I totally understand if you only want to meet in meetings and don't want to socialize. I do respect that. I'm an introvert. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? All right, thank you. Goodbye, world.